So more and more people are getting their hands on the remaster and they're starting to be able to kind of go through the book and find out certain things. So I thought it'd be a good time to update some of the basic actions, the basic things, the skill things that you can do. And this time I want to talk about Interact. Interact might not seem like a really big thing, but it actually is. There's a lot of things that you do with Interact and you do it all the time. So, that being said, let's go ahead and talk about it. So, my name is Don. I'm trying to be the Sly Strategist, and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, one of the first things I'd like to do is bring up the new Interact and then show you kind of where this information was located in the old player's handbook under changing equipment, table 6 2. Now, I do like how it's written now, where it's more of a narrative. There's more of a flow to it as opposed to being a table. It does make it a little bit harder to look things up, but because they are able to describe the actions a little bit more, there's a lot more information. And there are some new things that you can do, as well as some minor changes to some things that you already could do. So let's go ahead and bring down these two interact actions, and we'll go ahead and bring up another one that just kind of has the new sections highlighted. So I've mentioned this in another video, but I'm going to go ahead and go over what I personally think is probably the two biggest things and then a change. The first one is there is now an actual part of Interact that allows you to swap. It reads, swapping allows you to put away one item and draw another in the same action, such as putting away a dagger and drawing a mace. Abilities that specify what you do when you interact only allow this if they say so. And they have an example here, which is the quick draw feat lets a rogue interact to draw a weapon, but doesn't allow them to stow one as well. Swapping lets you swap only one item for another. If you are wielding two weapons, you could put away one of them and draw a different item, but you would need to put away the second weapon separately. So if you dual wield, you'll have to do it twice. So it'd be two interact actions. Now, another thing that they changed is in the pass off or take an item section, you are now allowed to attempt to throw it to someone if they have a hand free. And you might have been able to do that before, mainly by GM discretion, but now it is actually in the text that you typically need to succeed at a DC 15 ranged attack within a 10-foot range increment to do so. Now, by giving you that 10-foot range increment, it also allows you to add second and third increments if you want to change the DC if someone is really chucking it across a room. Those are the two biggest changes that I see to the interact action. However, there is some interesting wording in retrieve as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So you retrieve a stowed item from a backpack, pouch, or similar container, or put one away. You'll often need to interact to open or close the backpack or container. Now, this is really just a wording change. It used to read that you first had to take off the backpack with a separate interact, and now as opposed to taking off the backpack, they're just kind of saying you'll need to interact to open or close. That could encompass taking off the backpack, or if it was something on the front or a belt pouch or something that has a closure on it, and it would be the interact to open the closure. So that does make that a little bit more clear. And then the last one is they actually added a new section called drawing and stowing items, and it's on page 267 of the player core. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, this wording might have been in various places along the other books, but it's nice that they brought it into one particular paragraph right before the interact action in the equipment section. And it reads, drawing a worn item or changing how you're carrying an item usually requires you to use an interact action or sometimes the release action. The options are detailed on page 268, which is where the interact actions are that I just described in the equipment section of Player Core. Many ways of using items require you to spend multiple actions. For example, drinking a potion worn at your belt requires using an interact action to draw it and then using a second action to drink it, as described in its activate entry. The number of hands you need to interact is usually clear, and if it changes during the action takes the maximum number of hands needed during it. The GM will decide if it's unclear. You can draw, pick up, or hold an item that needs two hands using only one hand, but you need to subsequently change your grip to hold it in two hands if you want to wield it or use it. And I'm assuming that they should have probably put at the end or use it in the way it's intended. But once again, that is GM discretion, and I do like how it's worded. I understand that a lot of this might have been in various spots, but it wasn't put as clearly that I particularly saw. I'm sure if I'm wrong, I'll get a correction in the comments, and I appreciate those when they come in. But I do really like the new interact action. This is probably talking about, the things I like about Pathfinder in one video and some of the changes. And this, I probably mentioned this. This, I believe this is my third time, but actually doing a video on it by itself because to me it is such an important change, especially the swap and being able to toss an item and have it actually described. Now, I do hope you like this coverage here of the new interact action. I think it's a fantastic change. I think it brings a lot to the table. Aside from literally just having a table before, table 6-2, changing equipment, to now actually having it described a lot better through text as opposed to just tables. It's a toss up. The table made it very clear, very easy to see. However, it did have 3 different notes on it for how many entries was it? For 7 different entries. So I like the narrative a little bit better, and I hope you do too. But I do hope you like this video, and if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. But whatever you do, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring. Thanks.